Well, Geeta Shivarajkumar used to reside in Namma City all these years, but if she wins, she is going to make Shimoga her home. Curious to know why? Well, here's a report.
Shimoga. It is the hometown of BJP's strongman Yediyurappa, who will be contesting from the same constituency in the upcoming Lok Sabha polls. But Geeta Shivarajkumar is no stranger in the rice bowl of Karnataka. Her family has huge support base in the Shimoga constituency, which was also her father Bangarappa's bastion. But what about Geeta? What will she do if she manages to defeat Yediyurappa? Will she be available to the people of her constituency when they need her? Well, these were the questions during the rounds after JDS fielded her to checkmate BS Yediyurappa in his stronghold. But now all rumours have been put to rest, with Shivanna proclaiming to Shimoga that his wife will shift base if she wins. Yes, Geeta Shivarajkumar will move to Shimoga and work for the welfare of the people of her constituency. Following the declaration, Geeta and Shivanna hit the campaign trail. As usual, Shivanna was seen singing songs and spreading awareness on voting. Other than Shivanna, Geeta's mother Shakuntala Bangarappa, District President Shrikant and the sitting MLA Appaji Gowda were seen by the JDS candidate's side. Well, all this while there was a sense of uneasiness amongst the people of Shimoga. They were unsure if Geeta Shivarajkumar will be present during their times of crisis. But now, with Shivanna putting all the speculations to rest, they have heaved a sigh of relief. Basivaraj Yeraganavi, News 9, Shimoga.
Well, Samajwadi Party chief Mulayam Singh Yadav has clarified his controversial statement over women on Friday, which had created a streak of anger amongst the women in the country. Yadav defended himself, saying that Samajwadi Party cares for women more than any other party. He also stated that the criminals should be severely punished, but the innocent should not be trapped. He further added that death sentence is banned in many countries, thus discussions about that should be held. Meanwhile, Deve Gowda refused to condemn the controversial statement of Mulayam Singh Yadav, questioning the death penalty for rape. Well, just yesterday, Mulayam Singh Yadav had created quite a flutter by going on to state that boys make mistakes and that they should not be given death penalty for raping innocent victims. He went on to state that they should be forgiven and given a chance to reform. This had created widespread rage. The Samajwadi Party chief came under severe flack from not only the opposition but also from social networking websites as well as people, voters, who went on to state that Mulayam Singh Yadav's statement was absolutely disdainful.
तो लड़की जाके ब्याह देती मेरे साथ रेप किया और बेचारे को ठीक को फांसी हो गई। क्या रेप में फांसी दी जाएगी? यही लड़के हैं, गलती हो जाती है तो तीन को भी फांसी दे दी बम्बई। अब सोचिए, ऐसे कानूनों को बदलने की कोशिश की जाएगी तो उपयोग करने वालों को सजा देगी और झूठ रिपोर्ट करने।
Meanwhile, JDS chief Deve Gowda has gone on to state that there should be discussions held as far as death penalty is concerned. This comes in the backdrop of the entire nation practically rising against the kind of treatment meted out to women in the country. This was after the Delhi gang rape case of 2012 when people took to the streets and demanded more stringent laws, after which the anti-rape bill was passed. And the new law came into being, which even made death penalty a punishment in the rarest of rare cases. And now we are seeing the tall leaders of the country, which includes Mulayam Singh Yadav as well as JDS Supremo Deve Gowda, questioning this and saying that death penalty should be rethought.
He has got every right. Why should I condemn? Every political party has got their own views. Why should I condemn anybody? Ultimately, the Supreme Court is going to take the decision. The President of India is going to take the decision. Why should I? No. He has got every right to express his own opinion.
Well, it is certainly unfortunate that someone like Deve Gowda, who has been the Prime Minister of the country when the entire nation is lambasting the Samajwadi Party chief for his irresponsible remarks, Deve Gowda has in a way gone on to support the statement in a manner by stating that death penalty to convicts should be rethought. Well, these tall leaders, these senior leaders definitely need to be reminded of the kind of reaction the entire country witnessed after the horrific Delhi gang rape case came to light, and a series of gang rapes and rape cases that came to light after that forced the government to practically pass the anti-rape bill. My colleague Harish joins us with more details on this. Well, Harish, quite shocking to say the least that senior leaders like Deve Gowda and the Samajwadi Party chief are going on to speak about raising questions on the anti-rape bill.
Yes, especially someone like H.D. Deve Gowda, who was a former Prime Minister of the country. You would expect him to come out and condemn the statement given out by SP Chief and then speak about bringing in stronger laws to curtail such incidents and make sure that people who have committed such crimes are punished with a severe punishment. But instead you see H.D. Deve Gowda looks like he wanted to play it safe. Remember, he is looking at his political benefits and his political scenario after the elections. If there is a strong chance that no party or no coalition government ends up with a majority, then these parties, especially parties like SP, BSP, Trinamool Congress and JDS are looking at a possible third front. So was Deve Gowda thinking about a possible third front and his equation with Mulayam Singh after the election? Did that stop Deve Gowda from condemning a statement like this? Is something that anyone who can analyze politics and who have followed the third front development in the past few weeks will be able to know what it means. Also, remember, he also tried to downplay it or at least salvage some situation by saying in that this is in the court, this is in the Supreme Court, and it has to be decided by the Supreme Court whether there should be death penalty at all for any crime. And he also goes on to say that yes, there were stronger laws brought in after the Delhi gang rape case, but that hasn't curtailed any of these incidents or the rate of the crimes against women. So somewhere he was trying to play it safe, but remember, nobody here is talking about whether there should be a death punishment or whether death penalty for crimes against women should be there or whether it should be abolished completely. The question over here, Nishchita, is that was it justified for Mulayam Singh to say it was a mistake? It was not a mistake, it was a repeat offense, and that's the reason you saw the Sessions Court in Mumbai considering this case as the rarest of rare crime and handing out death penalty. It cannot be classified as a mistake. And in his statement yesterday, Mulayam Singh, it's very clear in the video tape that he said, ladke ladke hain, galtiyan ho jati hai. So he has made it very clear that boys are boys and mistakes do happen sometimes, but he completely tried to divert the attention and saying that all that he wanted is to bring in debate about death penalty when other countries have banned it, and his party is always for a stronger bill for women's reservation as well as against crimes against women. So he tried to downplay the issue, but definitely his statement is there for everyone to see, Nishchita.
Right, absolutely. And speaking of the kind of impact that it will have, considering that we're just few days away from elections, especially for Karnataka, with H.D. Deve Gowda making such statements, what do you think is the kind of impact we will see, Harish?
Well, the kind of impact that this could have might be very limited as of now. Remember, H.D. Deve Gowda's statement is not being played out in a major way, and he's already given a clarification of sorts, and the opposition too hasn't taken on, especially Deve Gowda's statement as of now. So will the opposition want to do that? Will the opposition take up this issue and go around the town? Well, if that does happen, then there might be some sort of impact in constituencies where women voters are in large numbers, but that is unlikely to happen because of a few reasons. Remember, still in large parts of the country and still large parts of our state as well, the voting happens on other factors, caste, local calculations, and other factors play a major role. As of now, the women's issue is not a larger role, as of, especially barring a few urban pockets. That's the reason you see that although women's reservation bill is stuck in the parliament for decades now, no party has suffered for not passing the bill. So that is an example of the kind of impact or the kind of importance attached to women's issues, especially in few constituencies, Nishchita.
Right, thank you for joining us with all those details, Harish. Well, there we have it. H.D. Devegowda goes on to state that the death penalty should be rethought. This comes in the backdrop of Mulayam Singh Yadav facing severe flack for his statement, saying that boys will be boys and that they should not be penalized for their actions. They should not be given death penalty. He was speaking in reference to the Shakti Mills gang rape case, in which 3 of the repeat offenders had been given the death sentence. And well, moving on now, clashes between YSR Congress and TDP workers marred the second phase of Parishad elections in Kadapa district of Andhra Pradesh today. Activists of the two rival parties pitched a battle over a minor dispute that spiraled out of control. The incident took place near the polling centre of Machanuru of Pendlimari Mandal. Trouble broke out when TDP activists belonging to Chautapalli and Konayapalli descended on the Machanuru polling station. Taking serious exception to this, YSRCP workers were seen involved in a heated altercation with them. Soon the wordy duel turned into a nasty brawl, and within no time the two sides clashed with sticks. They even pelted stones at each other, resulting in injuries to several persons. There were only 4 policemen deployed there at that time, and it needed additional forces requisitioned from nearby polling centres to quell the clashing mobs. As a result of the clash, the polling was suspended for a while. And moving on now, Lokayukta sleuths today raided the residence of Mysore Sub-Registrar Girish. The Lokayukta raided his residence in Siddhartha Nagar in Mysore. Girish is the same person who had earlier been pulled up for allegedly helping a Mysore resident illegally take over the property belonging to Wadeyar family. Lokayukta sleuths raided his residence and combed through all of the property papers. In fact, the sub-registrar of Mysore was today raided by the Lokayukta. Several papers have been seized by the Lokayukta officials. Of course, not too much details divulged so far.